And good morning. It's 11:30. Oh my God, that number is still too small in the part of the day that I don't like to be at. But we're here live with Shop Talk. I'm your host on the East Coast, Chris Callen. I'm here with my partner in crime, Ken Connie in Colorado. Ken, what's up, baby?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
We are here once again. Early slot. I love it. You know, I'm an early person. I'm an early morning guy. Hey, if we could do it at 5 in the morning, I'd do it.
Jesus, we'd both have to be in our underwear then instead of just me.
Is that true, Heather? Is he really in his underwear?
Thank God, no.
So, obviously, as Ken has just pointed out, we're joined by our lovely production assistant, Heather. Heather will be manning the Facebook Live comments, so you guys have something to say, something to add to our conversation, or just a question, please forward them on. Heather will bring you on air, and we'll get that answered. For the first time in Shop Talk history, we actually have, live in the studio, a guest host, Kiwi, Mike Tomas from Kiwi, Indiana. Everybody give Kiwi, what's up?
What's up?
Hi.
You guys are so non-participatory. I'm so
What's up?
I've had like half a cup of coffee.
What's up?
Half
Just
a
say it.
cup.
Just it feels good. What's up? Bye, Felicia. All right, so we got a big show today. Coming on later in the hour, we're going to bring on Ben Jordan from Jordan Designs. Ben is one of the invited builders from Passion Built this year. Michael Lichter's big to-do in Sturgis, and man, we got pages and pages of news, so I don't even
Yes,
know,
we do.
Don't even know where to start with that. You're going to have to...
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start positive?
Yeah, let's start positive. I mean, you
Okay.
call it. You call the ball, I'll bring it up.
Let's start positive. I don't even know. Is any of this positive?
You know, I don't. It's a rough day. Let's go with the BMW
Screw it.
Black Mamba right off the bat.
Okay,
How
that's
about
fine.
that? We'll
Yeah,
just start in with some new motorcycle designs that are new to the rest of the world, but maybe not to all of us. BMW.
What are you insinuating, Chris?
I'm insinuating the obvious, I think, for anybody that's ever been or seen a story on Las Vegas Bike Fest or seen any of the bikes that Max Hazan has built. This is a Max Hazan design motorcycle. I hope he got a check.
No.
Yes.
Say it isn't so.
But they're calling it a concept motorcycle. It is, all credit to BMW, seriously advanced for them, so good for them. It's kind of badass in a BMW, Tron motorcycle kind of way.
So, but I have a question for Mike. So, Mike, you've been in this industry for a long time. Isn't this what happens? Don't they take kind of cues from custom builders like yourself and then try to incorporate them into some sort of production, and there's never really a check written or even a tip of the hat for that matter?
Yeah, all too often, you quite often see that. You see stuff that develops in the custom motorcycle industry, and then you see it migrate to the OEMs. Of course, they never give, the custom or aftermarket industry any credit, but certainly they pump it up themselves.
And anybody that kind of questions that, I just have you take a look at 6 years ago, 8 years ago? I don't know. I'm getting old, so it's probably longer than that. The wide tire phase, right?
There you go.
The wide tire craze, right? That was 100% a custom industry piece that got completely adapted to OEMs. And then they finally kind of reeled it in a little bit, right? So, not surprising. Cool looking bike. Concept bikes are concept bikes.
You're
right?
just like concept cars. You're lucky if you
Yeah.
ever see one or two of them in the real world, but it
Probably
was worth
not.
talking about.
For sure.
I'm
Well-
tipping my hat to Max Hazan anyway.
Nice. Well, have you seen the new? Speaking of concept, there are ones that I've seen that I'm like, oh man, I wish they would come out with that. Is the Ford Bronco concept? Have you seen that? Oh, dude, it looks so cool. You should check it out. They'll probably never come out with it, but it looks cool.
Tell me about it real quick.
It's a tip of the hat to the 1970s Broncos.
Where the tops came off in the back, and
Yeah, I don't know that the top comes off,
Well,
but
what's
it's
the
way
point
more
if it
boxy and
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
They've done a good job of retroing that thing.
no
So
bueno.
Yeah.
like the old Bronco.
yeah.
Here's a
Are you
picture of
giving it a
right
thumbs down, Heather?
Yeah, totally. That's horrible.
That's right. There's another
But-
thumbs up over here to give it an offset it.
But I'm also the guy who
It looks like a Range Rover.
I
But
think
it's got
I think
big
it's
in order
pretty badass.
so- Anyway,
It's bad. Wow.
She's so negative. Jeez.
no accounting for taste. Okay, moving on.
I typically have quite good taste in cars. I just can't afford the ones I want.
Okay, so moving on to other news that relates to our industry and people that we know from the Argus Leader. Mitchell motorcycle designer accuses West Coast rival of pilfering windshield. Right off the bat, that should tell you who we're talking about. So it's Brian Clock, actually involved in some sort of legal melee over the flare windshield. I mean,
Correct.
it would be hard to dispute that windshield is not entirely a Clock product. So I'm not sure how that one's going to play out. But it was newsworthy and in the news. So there you go. What do you think?
What do I think? I think it happens all the time. I think guys like Paul Yaffe, who did the monkey bars and were smart enough to trademark them, when people copy them, they get a letter from Earl. You know,
There you go.
it's just it's you know, it's how the world goes around, and there's a lot of people out there that think that they can, you know, and regardless of whether they were necessarily the first one to it or not, if they've got a trademark on it, they own it. And, you know, or copyright or whatever it might be. And I think we're going to get into that as well in terms of Harley. When somebody's got something, you know, fortunately, somebody can't come out with Cycle Source magazine, right?
Yeah, no. This is also really, really going to apply to our guest host today, because Mike, for any of you guys that don't know, has completely redesigned and re-engineered almost every part that there is for vintage Indian motorcycle. And I imagine once or twice, Mike, you've run up against this, somebody grabbing one of your designs.
Yeah, more than once. I'm pretty innovative at what I do. Other people come along and knock it off. It's just, you know, the thing is, and this is where others play into it, is the cost of litigating it in the United States is prohibitively expensive. Just to even probably get it to some advanced stage is $100,000 to $300,000, and that's before you start getting into the heavy duty stuff. So that's where these other people just capitalize, including some of the OEMs for that matter. You know, they pilfer a lot of stuff, and they know that the small shops can't defend it, so then they just run with it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, and that's, you know, unfortunately, because of the litigious age that we live in, that's just the way it is. What would have happened 20 years ago, Chris?
Oh my God, we talked about
Molotov
this.
cocktail.
Crazy news.
That's all me. Dumb. So
you stop it? There you go.
we talked about this when we had Mondo on the show. And, you know, we specifically said the same thing. And Mondo was quite frank about it, man, and which is something that I love about him. He says, it would have been no question. He said, me and Denver and the boys would have got no pickup truck. The next morning we'd have been at that guy's shop, and we would have broke his hands. And that would have been the end of the trademark dispute right there.
Yeah.
I loved it. So I kind of played my hand too early, but one of my favorite segments in the show,
Batshit crazy news.
it's batshit crazy news time. We're going into the files of the Church of Scientology. Always a great source for batshit crazy news. The feud between Tom Cruise and John Travolta rolls on, and I could care less, except for the fact that somehow I saw this in the headline of it. What about the motorcycle? So apparently, when you sign up to be a professional Scientologist, you're known as a Sea Org member, and you sign what they have actually written out as a billion-year contract to agree to work for the church, basically for free. So you're talking about servitude, a lifetime of servitude to the Church of Scientology. Well, it's reported that, and it says, rumor has it, that the customizing of motorcycles and cars for Tom Cruise have been done by Scientology members and directed by David Miscavige, and basically done for free for Tom Cruise as one of the golden boys of Scientology. And I guess this gets under John Travolta's skin somehow. And why that matters to the world, I have no idea. But it was batshit crazy, and that's why I put it up.
So a billion-year contract. Like, have they been watching The Magicians?
Yeah. Right.
I don't get it.
That's
billion
like
years.
what's his name on Harry Potter? the little creatures that the wizards all have.
Dobby.
Dobby, yeah, it's like Dobby. You sign a Dobby. That's the Dobby clause.
But if people are that much of a dumbass to sign on to that stuff, I mean...
No, wait a minute. For those
can I
of
say
you,
that?
those of you that are Scientologists, ignore him. We do not.
But I mean, everybody's, if they want to join that stuff and be a dumbass and go along with it, or
Well,
whatever
if you want to sign a
that's what they sign
billion-year
up
contract,
for.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and if you can be Tom Cruise and actually get people to build you free custom motorcycles and cars, I guess that's all the better on you too. Like,
Sure.
awesome. I
Yeah.
guess I'm gonna
and the
start the
reality
church
is that
of
there's a lot of
shop
people
talk.
there's a lot of people that don't necessarily sign those contracts, but they sure would if there was one. There's a lot of people that follow all sorts of crazy stuff.
Oh yeah.
If somebody said to somebody who maybe lives in the Pittsburgh area, "Hey, would you sign a billion-year contract to follow the Pittsburgh Steelers?" Somebody would do it.
Oh,
right?
like
I mean,
more than
everybody would do it. Are
somebody.
you kidding
Yeah.
me?
exactly.
It's
So, I mean,
insane.
whether
Dude.
it's a church or a team or a whatever, there's
And I'm going to tell you right now, living here for years, like people ask me when we go to other places, "Oh, where are you from?" And I'm like, "Pittsburgh," and they go, "Oh, are you a Steelers fan?" And I'm like, "Listen, man, let me explain to you how Pittsburgh works. There was a time where there was nothing left in this town. Like an atom bomb went off when the steel mills left. All there was football. So still to this day, if you don't root for the Pittsburgh Steelers and you live here and they find out, they will come and move you out of town. Like that's
Yeah.
it. So yeah, I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. It's something that's ingrained in you from a very early age.
I think it's at this point it's genetics.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What do we got from Facebook, Curly Q?
Let's see who's here. Rebecca Cunningham is here. Hi, Rebecca. We're going to see you in a couple days. Super excited about that at Leesburg Bike Fest for Greasing Gears Garage. Susie Whitman says, "Hi, Kiwi Indian."
Hi, Susie.
Tony Hine is here. Mom is here. Don Bashline is watching. Hey, Don.
What's up,
Hey,
Dawn?
Don.
Missy loves the Bronco concept.
Are you a Steelers fan?
don't listen to her.
I just
No.
for the record.
No, I am not a Steelers
what
fan.
are you?
Don't say it.
New England Patriots all the way.
Oh.
And trust me, they are mean to me here because of that. But I suck it up. Bob Chamber is tuning in. He says, "Howdy crew, I decided to pick you up again. I stop in at Will Ramsey's from Faith Forgotten shop
right
every now
on.
and then and came across us all on YouTube and says, this old FXR rider enjoys the show. Thank you, Bob."
Right.
Gina
Bob.
Woods is here.
What's up,
And
Gina?
my
Gina,
Judy,
obviously the host and producer of Open Road Radio, kind of a sister station to us. We help out there every once in a while, and she's been doing Open Road Radio for quite a long time. Good to see her back on the airways. So, shout out to Gina.
I think that's about it for now.
And hi to my brother Kevin in New Zealand.
Yes.
He watches it.
And
I think
listen,
it's
how
3
about
o'clock in the
that?
morning down there, but he watches it religiously.
Right? we always get comments from Kiwi's brother. That's what in pre-production, I was like, "Hey, is your brother going to be watching today?" He was like, "Well, I don't know, man. It's 3 o'clock in the morning."
So, Kevin, if you are watching, we need dirt on your brother.
yeah,
Pictures
for sure.
from when he was little, any crazy stories, send them, please.
Yeah, we're getting old. He's forgotten them.
He's forgotten. Yeah. Okay, so sticking with the batshit crazy news theme for a minute, there's a new old motorcycle company in the news. The Curtis Motorcycle Company hasn't produced bikes for 105 years. They have decided to relaunch, and they're
The
producing.
Warhawk. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't even understand how that can be it. Is that the electric one?
No.
It
This
doesn't-
is
Oh, this is an actual combustion.
quite naturally aspirated.
Okay.
But wasn't
They're
he,
not trying to make it look like it is. Are you sure?
Wasn't he going all electric?
It doesn't look like electric
No,
to
that's
me.
not electric.
It doesn't look electric to me. If they did, then wow, they put a lot of work into that. But it looks the same as the B-51
Right.
Cruiser, whatever.
And
that.
again, I'm going to point to the fact that it looks very much like an X-Wedge engine, just like the bike we were talking about last week.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm
is.
sure it is an X wedge. They
If
use
you-
X wedges in
It
the
is.
Confederates.
If you keep
Yeah.
going down, there's a spec sheet at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
But he's done a lot of design work on that, and
For
I think
us-
it's got an integral transmission.
Oh yeah. So you know about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, let's get you on camera. Jesus.
Speak up.
Let me not.
Oh, I'm no expert on the modern crap. I mean, I know, they've done a lot of work with that X wedge, and he's come up with his transmission design to, instead of being a totally separate unit, so he's worked pretty closely with S&S on that to develop a nice package.
A nice 5-speed. I don't get that.
Like Harley guys, if you got a 5-speed, they want 6 speeds. You got a 6-speed, they want a 7. You got a 10-speed, they want 11. So there's no satisfying them.
This is coming. So later here, we might as well just switch gears to that, because when we were getting ready for the show, we're going over some of the news. I brought up the fact that let me see where it's at. Indian motorcycles.
For the record, I just went to 4-speed.
Yeah, that's
from 3.
And that was a big jump. Huh?
Oh hell yeah!
But we were going over the fact ahead of time that Indian Motorcycles has a recall, and it's the fact they have a faulty ignition switch, and the bikes might actually start on their own. And Kiwi immediately goes to the fact, well, I can fix that for you. Put a kickstart back on it. You don't need the electric start. And I'm like, dude, come on now.
And I reached out to try to find out exactly what was going on. I haven't heard anything back.
No.
Crickets. Yeah, you're not going to hear.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. So
hopefully we get some information on that, because I think it's important that consumers know, what that is, specifically. Like, they've got to have a safe, like, that neutral safety, right? Switch.
Well, and Mike, that's a question we have. Like, obviously, the new Indians that are having this ignition problem would have a neutral safety switch that would prevent the bike from actually starting and taking off if it was in gear.
You would think.
Okay, so the next question we have is, if that's in place, if this faulty switch keeps repeating and trying to start that bike, and the neutral safety switch keeps shutting it down, is there the possibility that that's going to lead to further problems with the wiring system, like some kind of real malfunction with a short?
Well, I deal with about 6 wires on my bike, so that's a bit too much. But there could be another issue, that if the bike self starts and it's in a garage, carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
That's the
it's
key
hard
issue.
It's hard being an OEM. I mean, you've got government regulations, and even some of the smallest, tiniest things, you have to report them. So it's tough on and both of them have issues. They've got the greatest engineers, Harley Davidson and Polaris, and
you can never weed out all those issues.
Right.
If you're a custom motorcycle builder, I mean, you sort of push it under the carpet and call a few of your customers and get it sorted out. But on an OEM level, you've got government rules and regulations that you have to report this.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and it's 2 bikes that have started. One which was at a dealership, and another one it sounds like still at Polaris.
Right.
A development vehicle.
So this isn't even something that's really been reported, like, even nationwide.
No.
Okay, right.
But
No. So, but it would be. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, could you imagine just kind of like sitting there chilling out and your bike just randomly starts?
I would take it
Dude.
as a sign.
Yeah, I'd be like, sold.
Time to ride.
Yeah, take it off. It might be a nice. It might be a good marketing ploy for dealers. Somebody's just sitting on the bike, and then all of a sudden it starts up.
Yeah, this thing's even better than keyless ignition.
Although I have to admit, a lot of our followers and demographic are Harley fans, and there's some comical commentary when we shared that news feed.
Yeah, we put that post up on our social media, and the comments just went mad crazy.
Like they were trying to get to the local Harley dealer to see how much they could get traded in for. Sorry, Kiwi.
All right, so let's move away from the 100-Year War and talk about. We'll switch to Harley Davidson. So switching gears to Harley Davidson, the student internship program. This is something that, as Ken pointed out today, Harley Davidson must have $1 bazillion invested in, because everything from Amazon commercials to on your local television network, we're hearing about the student intern program.
Yeah. So it's 8. They're picking 8 students, either recently graduated or I think they said juniors or seniors in college, for marketing /social media, and they're going to bring them to Milwaukee and brainwash. I mean, indoctrinate. No, what's the right word?
You got it right. You got it right.
What's the word? Educate them about the brand. And then they're going to go out on the road, and they are going to report from the road and I think it's a 12-week internship, so it's 3 months. I would imagine a month of that's going to be spent at headquarters. And then, so I have a lot of questions about this. I'm sure you guys do as well. So they are going after, they said, hey, it's great if you know how to ride, but if you don't, that's okay too.
Right.
So I'm wondering if this is really their kind of play, and I think it is, because I was just talking with somebody over at Harley. We were trying to get some stuff donated, and they donated like learn to ride certificates. And so I think this is like their big push, but it's not going to make up for how many we're losing every day.
Well,
right?
and that's Harley makes no bones about the fact that they're after new riders. They're after new markets, both nationally and abroad. And I mean, this falls, right in step with what that initiative is as far as sales goes to. But there's a lot of things at play here. When people profess to have, quick answers for what's going on in the motorcycle industry today, it's almost a fool's paradise. I mean, today we saw a report come in for Harley's first quarter, and international sales are up 2.2%, while national sales are down 12%, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, which, I mean, it seems like a Chicken Little, oh my God, the sky is falling, until you actually pay attention to, where's my statistic? This is one of the things we keep talking about, the switch of the ages, right? The switch of the demographic from baby boomers to Gen X and Y and into millennials. There's three, almost 4 generations at play here right now. And if you look at this statistic, that baby boomers, now this is daily, 10,000 baby boomers a day are hitting 65 years. And crossing the critical threshold of retirement. And I mean, it's a proven fact that when people get to retirement age, they start to re-examine their life choices. They reallocate their investments, both in hard currency, in assets, and in their time,
Yes.
And what they're going to be doing. So there's not going to be any quick fix for this, because the Harley-Davidson market has been driven up the crazy bell curve that it's gone through the last 15 years, 20 years now, based on the baby boomers' need to recreate, a period of their childhood. Well, that's going away. So these steps that Harley are taking now, I mean, they might seem far-reaching for a lot of people, but it's foundation work that, in my opinion, it should have started happening 10 years ago.
Therein lies the problem, right? Because if you're looking at what happens during retirement, from what I've heard, you're basically doing what people are trying to do when you're on a motorcycle, right? You're trying to retire for that little while,
right,
during the day, go relax, do whatever. And so I think that there are going to be some people, obviously, that stick with it, but I think that there's going to be, more than not that are not. And I think it's a little short-sighted to think that we're going to be able to get 20-somethings, college grads, aged people interested in motorcycles. It's too little, too late. And they should be looking 10 years down the road. And I know I've said this a million times on here. What they should be doing is they should have youth riding classes for kids that are 10 years old. Yeah. That's what they should be having at every Harley-Davidson dealership every weekend whenever it's nice out.
Yep.
From, 9 to 12 every Saturday. You can bring any kid you want that's whatever age, 9 to 14, and they can learn how to ride a motorcycle in that 4 hours. And the problem is that Harley doesn't have anything to offer them, right?
Exactly.
They don't have a bike that they can go, and you should go right here.
Hey, man, and
so
listen,
my opinion is that's where they should be going.
Let me bring up the obvious point again. When you're in your late teens, early 20s, the likelihood that you're going to end up on, an older Sportster, which for these kids is an early to mid Evo Sportster, the likelihood that that's the bike you're going to end up on as one of your first bikes is pretty good. you can't even buy parts for that at the local Harley dealer. If Harley really wanted to start an outreach initiative, they'd start to look at the reality of the fact that at that period in their life, and what's trending for millennials is millennials don't want to carry the amount of debt to get what Harley has as an entry-level bike right now, or most of them can't. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of work to be done there. There really is. And let me point out one other obvious thing. No one is doing any kind of outreach for Generation X and Y. While all of this goes on and they want to go straight from the baby boomer generation to the millennials, nobody gives a rat's ass about what's happening for Generation X and Y, almost because they just consider that we're their customer and we're going to continue to be their customer. Well, there's a whole bunch of us that are still not riding motorcycles.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's, the thing that I've seen just in my personal life. I've had two of my friends who I've known forever that one just bought a bike 2 years ago, had never owned a motorcycle before. And then my other buddy is looking at one for his 50th birthday, right? So where is the disconnect there with Harley? Because like you said, that Gen X, they're the ones that actually have money. They're the ones that are in the thick of their career. Yeah, they've only got another maybe 15, 20 years of riding, but that's where they should be.
Hey, baby, that 15 or 20 years is the same time span that we're talking about Harley Davidson built their success from on the baby boomers. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't discount it whatsoever.
And think about the bikes that you and I could have bought or that we could afford back in our 20s. I know what my choices were. When I bought my first mine was it was either, and I guess it was my second bike, but my first real bike, I tried to actually buy an Ironhead, and they wouldn't even start it for me at the Harley dealership, and it had a huge puddle of oil underneath it, and I wanted it so bad. I think it was like $5,000. It was something ridiculous. It was way too much money, and it was the only used bike they had there. And I ended up buying a Honda. Sorry.
What was your first bike?
Yeah, what was your first bike, man?
It was all I could afford was a Honda CB100 that I soon blew out with a power roll kit to 125.
Ooh,
yeah, that was a big one.
And how old were you?
I was 16.
You were 16 when you got
I just
your
left
first
school, and that's what I could afford to get backwards and forwards to work on.
How much did you pay for it?
God, it's maybe $200-300.
Yeah, I had a RD 400.
Oh, my friend had that. That was bad.
Yeah,
that was
bad. Two-cylinder. That thing was. I could never get it. Keep it.
What was your first bike, Chris?
My first bike was a 1970, I think, Triumph, and it was I bought it literally just because it had twisted handlebars and it had a longer front end, and it wouldn't start at all. And that's where I learned about British wiring, like positive ground
and
wiring
oil leaks.
And the magic box, and the fact that there's a special device on early Triumph motorcycles that as you're going down the road every once in a while, and I think it even says this in the user's manual, you have to reach under the seat and grab as many wires as you can and just shake the hell out of them.
Because it's like you're jerking off.
Yeah,
you do that so well.
periodically, an older Triumph motorcycle in stock configuration will just shut off as you're going down the road, and that shaking of the wires that actually keeps them running. And that's
do that again.
Huh.
No.
Heather.
Oh, my hand looks all dirty.
No.
That's beautiful. So let's get off of this soapbox for a minute, because shit's getting deep in the garage.
It's not. It's good. It's a good Yeah, it's a good conversation. Yeah.
I think it's time to try to bring our guest on for the hour anyway.
And who was our guest today, Christopher?
Ben June, right?
We probably have another 25 minutes until we're supposed to call him. But
okay.
We can try.
No. I'm jumping the gun. Let's forge ahead with the news.
Let's do it.
I'm click happy today. It's crazy. I'm all over the place. So
he's excited.
Let's then instead talk about Evil Knievel Days is canceled for 2018. One of the most popular events that goes on out in the West, Butte, Montana, celebrating the King of the Daredevils for 15 years, officially canceled this year. But I have no idea why. They cite economic woes and lack of funding, but What do you know about this,
And
Ken?
the economy's doing good.
So I think previously they had gotten $100,000 grant every year from some I think it was like a super fund something for Butte, Montana. Butte, Montana had gotten it, but they lost that. My understanding is that Bill Rundle, who is I think he was Evel Knievel's longtime stunt coordinator, was trying to put it together, but I don't think you're going to get, unfortunately, I don't think you're going to get anybody to pony up $200,000 to put on Evel Knievel Days. I think it's great. I think the idea of having, kind of remembering him, and, I've never been there, but I know people who've been there, religiously for years. And I think there should be a place where people can kind of celebrate his life. I don't know if that's the place to do it.
Well, isn't there a museum in Kansas now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually, a few weeks ago, we had Marilyn Stemp on and talked about the museum, which is supposed to be absolutely spectacular.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the only reasons to go to Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
That and to catch up on reruns of MASH, because that's what I do when I cross Kansas. I have a little TV on my motorcycle. And
No, you
It's
do
a cool.
not.
I like crossing Kansas. Cool people. I enjoy
Yeah.
it.
I don't ever see
I love.
anybody.
I just ride an older bike. Take your time. Stop at the little diners. Stop in little towns, and
Do you
It's
know
cool.
who you're talking
He
to?
lives a life of
Yeah.
luxury over
Listen,
here.
Yeah, you know
Jesus.
who you're
Speaking-
talking to,
sit
Chris?
on those couch.
Speaking of retiring, it must be nice to
This is
be
cool
in your
people.
retirement.
I love Kansas.
Chris is
So-
like point A to point B as fast as possible.
Let's
Oh,
go,
yeah.
You can kind of sleep on the way, even better.
let's go from Kansas to Canada.
Yeah, this is something that is it gives me an opportunity to talk about an event that I really, really dig, which if you folks from the United States are not hip to an event in Canada they call Friday the 13th in Port Dover. It only happens when there's the occasion of Friday the 13th, and the small town of Port Dover is completely overcome with motorcycles, vendors, everything. There's no other indication that it's going to happen other than here comes Friday the 13th, and poof, there's an event. Well, this year, vendor fees are under the microscope, blah, blah, blah. Get down to the fact that out-of-town vendors are charged twice as much as people from Norfolk County, where this happens, right? $548 compared to $282. So the thing that I wanted to bring up,
It is equality.
well, I don't even care about the equality because, okay, I'm from out of town, I'll pay more, but consider that vendor fee compared to what some of the major U.S. rallies are,
Yeah,
right? Like,
that's wholesale.
we're talking about adding at least another decimal place in the price of a vendor fee. So just, I wanted to bring up some ridiculous facts about
But
that.
in talking about this Friday the 13th, it doesn't matter what month it is. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what time of year it is. Like, they just had one 10 days ago, and because it was cold and the weather was crappy, they were only expecting about 3,000 motorcycles. However, they have a running of this in July this year where they are expecting 200,000 motorcycles. For
Excuse
this
me?
Friday,
Oh, yeah.
200,000
Yeah, yeah.
motorcycles.
Dude, it's
If
crazy.
you go online and Google it, the pictures are insane. It's just
crazy.
wall to wall people, motorcycles.
We
it's
actually
crazy.
have
Crazy.
a picture here to bring up real quick from one of their previous events when it's sunny and nice for Friday the 13th. This is what town looks like. I mean, it's just jam packed. There's not a place to squeeze another
And I mean,
motorcycle.
They
or person.
have big, huge main stage. It's an event, and it only happens on Friday the 13th. It was crazy.
Yeah,
That's
so
bananas.
right,
Like,
kind of cool.
unfortunately, I think it happens when we're in Gettysburg this year. Otherwise, I actually want to go just to see how this all happens.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
Yeah, it's a scene.
Ooh, is Friday the 13th? Yeah, it is Friday
Yeah.
the 13th in Gettysburg, right? Why
Yeah.
don't they have some like goth, crazy band playing? Right? They should have some like
Yeah.
Well, Ken, I think you
I don't
know
know,
people there.
Guar.
Oh my God, Marilyn Manson, Guar.
Hard pass.
I-
No.
Yeah,
hard pass.
I don't think that would go over real well in Gettysburg. You ever been to Gettysburg, Mike?
Yes, a few times. Awesome.
Yeah.
For the
It
for
is.
the rally?
No,
No, the rally's a pretty neat thing. We've been doing it for quite a few years now.
I actually had the privilege when we did Indian's 100th anniversary ride back in 2001. We had a Major George, and he had Indian, and he took several of us around that whole area. We spent quite a bit of the day just riding around, and he was actually the teacher to a lot of the new recruits.
Yeah.
And my God, it was awesome. It was the best experience I've ever had.
Right on.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, the history up there is bananas, and the riding is great. Like it's just those rolling hills, and it's just so picturesque.
I'm looking forward to it. That is one of my favorite events. Just when you're going through those battlefields,
and it's a piece of
such a cool feeling.
Bigger piece of American history right there.
Oh yeah, and it's also creepy as hell at night. Yeah. I do not like driving through that battlefield at night. I don't know why. It just creeps me out, man. Too many dead people.
While we have Mike in the studio today, I want to announce to everybody that available almost any day now is the brand new Kiwi Indian motorcycle parts catalog.
Yeah, I've finally done
and he lets out a deep breath like, thank Christ.
Well, it's not even the complete one yet. It's just a mammoth undertaking, creating a catalog that nobody else has ever done before. And this is my 6th one.
And how many parts do you have?
Oh, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000. I don't know. I don't stop and
Yeah,
count. Just keep
right.
on rolling.
Fun fact about Kiwi Indian that I learned this morning, and Chris, I don't know if you know this. This month celebrates 30 years for Kiwi Indian motorcycles. 30 years.
Yeah, baby.
So congratulations, Mike. It's incredible what you've done.
And Mike, listen, just real quick, let's get a little history lesson. Talk about you as a young man in New Zealand coming to the United States, how this came about that you found your way to Indian, found your way to this country, found your way to Kiwi Indian motorcycle.
Well, after I got through my little Honda phase, my parents didn't allow me to get a bigger bike. So I bullshitted them into, I'm going to get an older bike that goes slower. Actually, that was the truth. I got an Army 741 Indian that a Honda 50 would actually have more power. Will it pull its pants off? But from that, I got an old 1924 Indian, and I started making parts for it in New Zealand, just one at a time. And I didn't know anybody in America made parts. Yeah. So from that, I made my own valves and valve guides and engine parts. And then fast forward I rode that thing around. And fast forward a few years, I think I was 21, so it'd be 1982, I decided to travel. Just us New Zealanders just travel. We're very widely traveled people. So I left my job for 6 months, and I was going to be back, and it was 2.5 years later I decided to finally go back. And after being back a few weeks, I wondered what the hell I was doing back here in New Zealand, that is. Yeah. And so then I got back over here, and it took me a few years, but people convinced me to start my own business. So it was in April 1988 that Carol and I actually bought a house, and that we had a fixed address, and that's when, from that point on, I started making my own parts. I bought a little lathe and somebody loaned me a little lathe and a little mill and put it in the garage, and then things just took off from there. I did Davenport, Iowa show, and man, things just, it was crazy. It just went on a steep uphill climb.
Well, you talk about that like anybody can just go make their own valves, right. And oh yeah, I just ended up. So you must have had some mechanical aptitude prior to that.
I was in the engine rebuilding business, and New Zealand's down the other end of the earth. So you got to understand, back then, and my dad had big heavy equipment, rock crushers and earth moving equipment, and it was an era where he had American equipment. So as soon as you could get a big part from America was 8 weeks. It had to go on a ship. You could not afford to put, pistons or anything on an airplane. Not like today. It was expensive. So your equipment sat around. So rather than just sitting around, you were innovative of adapting stuff. So you get a valve off something else, do some machining. In my case, I got some blanks and did some heavy modifying. Mm-hmm. I also knew materials, because sometimes those materials that work on an automotive engine or diesel engine don't work on an old flathead motors, whether it be Harley or Indian. So I also, went through the school of hard knocks of learning what worked and what didn't work. Fast forward to some years, those experiences translate into my business, and that's why I've got good quality and advanced parts, and I keep up on technology.
Yeah. So, and for people that don't know, you can actually go and purchase a complete bike from you, right? From your parts, is that right?
Yeah, you can get a complete motorcycle. You can get click kits or complete engines. I do complete brand new flathead engines.
I keep trying to talk them into let me get on that engine program so that we can build a chopper out of it. I want to build a Kiwi chopper.
Okay.
He looks so enthusiastic about it.
He would be if he saw it.
I just gave one away to kill them in an Indian chopper.
You bastard.
It was
So,
not with my motor. I mean, it was all pile. It was all
But
original
still.
chopper.
so are you self-taught though, or did you go to school for the knowledge that you have, or
I was
was
one
it
of
just
those-
trial and error?
I was one of those in school who was probably the lowest. I was a good kid, but I didn't have, what would you call it? I wasn't intellectually.
Stimulated?
I was stimulated.
Well, no, but not intellectually
No,
stimulated.
No. So, you know.
didn't like school.
I didn't like school, and I was one of those kids that, you know, you couldn't wait to get out of school, and the automotive trades, motorcycle trades was one of those catch-all. You know, we just weren't gifted. And I'm
Well,
all
I don't think you're book gifted. I think you're an incredibly intelligent man. You're just gifted
Obviously.
mechanically.
I've been. The great thing about America is, you know, people have shared their knowledge with me. Everything I've learned, well, a lot of things I've learned, I've been able to talk, discuss, meet incredibly smart people.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And some of them aren't necessarily super duper academically smart, but they've gone through the school of hard knocks, and those are the people I like to be with. I learn from, and they've got those experiences, and they're willing to share it with me. And I don't know if it's because of my accent that, you know, I tell them, look, I've got transmission technology. I needed information. I mean, I needed some really advanced stuff on transmissions, so I call up Caterpillar. I'm an American Caterpillar. And I get to talk to, I went through a lot of departments, but I got to talk to a guy that he remembered riding Indians, and he was pulling out these gear prints, and I was looking for something. Caterpillar's in a tough environment and gets beat up their transmissions. So that guy was able to share stuff with me. Kohler Engines were able to share stuff with me with bore distortions on flathead motors. I mean, that's stuff that I or a lot of people, well, just about anybody, doesn't have that technology to understand, to even measure when engines get hot. You know, flatheads, there's a lot of bore distortion. It doesn't go in the shape, it doesn't stay round. So ring sealing's a problem. It goes in the shape of a D, but all this stuff, and that's where Kohler engines were, you know, I was lucky enough that they were able to share that information. But I found people or American companies very open. Once I lay down my cards, what I do, they're real helpful to me.
Nice.
Okay, I have to apologize for the bell ring, and I have my phone set up for automatic notifications from Hipster Proof. That was three hipsters just got their wings right then. Just so you know, that just happened. That's for real. That shit's happening live on Shop Talk today. So
I don't know if it's time to call Ben yet, but we have a couple people anxiously awaiting Ben, quote unquote, Hollywood Jordan.
Ben Hollywood, he is Hollywood,
Ooh.
boy. He
Wow.
is Hollywood.
Yeah, we got a few minutes, but you can try him. See what happens.
All right, let's see. Let's see if we can go to our guest of the hour, and we're going to come back, Mike, and talk some more because you're actually on your way to the antique swap in Ole.
Yep,
That's
Ole,
how we got
PA.
you to stop over.
Yep.
So we got a lot of stuff.
Actually, you got me to stop over. I think I just called you up and said, hey, I'm going to be in the area. You got a bed? That's how we roll.
Right. All right, so
You're supposed to be on Do Not Disturb.
I know. I like to be disturbed. Plus, that was the fourth hipster of the hour that got the wings from.
By the way, nobody
Proof.
is safe, Chris. You will be on there soon.
I know. I'm waiting because I understand it's quite the to-do to be hipster proofed.
I think it's kind of backfired from their original plan because now all the people that they're using the memes of think it's so awesome that they actually made it to hipster proof.
Exactly.
I don't ever want to be that
All right, so here we go. We're going to try to bring on guest of the hour. It's time for Just Hanging Out in the Garage. Ben Jordan, you're live on the air with Chris and Ken. How you doing?
How you guys doing today?
Oh,
Good.
good, dude. Good. It's so good to talk to you. It feels like it's been forever.
It's been a while. I saw you there in Daytona for a second, but you were busy. I didn't get a chance to say hello.
Yeah, man. Daytona, every year I keep saying, I'm going to go to Daytona this year and just not do anything and dig my time there. And somehow, just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Sucker.
I understand.
So, hey, man, the biggest reason why we're calling you today, other than to catch up on good friends and old times, is you have been invited to Michael Lichter's Passion Built this year in Sturgis.
I have, yep.
Along with 30 some odd other builders.
Mm-hmm.
And explain to everybody when you get the call from Michael, because I personally know now I'm invited also, but it's a big deal to get that call from Michael Lichter.
It is an honor. I've actually been able to do his show. I think this is going to be the 5th time I've done his show.
Right on.
And it is a big honor, and but it's a hell of a lot of work too.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I tell him, because it's usually short deadlines. But it kind of gets the juices flowing, and kind of gets those projects that kind of been on hold in gear, and kind of gets my butt in gear to get them finished.
Right on.
So.
And you'll be running it right down to the wire like the rest of them.
So that other silvery, foxy fog voice that you hear is Kiwi Mike Tomas is in the house with us today. He's our
Mike.
guest host.
Hey mate, how's it going?
Hey, good buddy.
So
Nice.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you're building?
Well, I'm doing something different than I have in a while, and I'm doing a electric start Evo bike. Usually, the last 10 years or so, I've been doing mostly kickstart older pans and knuckles and things of that nature. But this particular bike's a different direction. It's got all the creature comforts on it that a chopper can have, I guess. Big motor and big brakes and electric start. So it's a little different, but it's
Mike just
been
fell
fun.
out of his chair.
Yeah, I know.
The idea of electric start just killed Mike Thomas. He's done.
Yeah.
I think it's just a passing fad.
It is definitely.
It'll never
It
catch on.
definitely is. But I wanted some bigger horsepower, and I wasn't really wanting to kick it a whole lot, so I decided to go a different direction, and I'm kind of liking the way it's turning out. So.
Nice. What do you? So I think everybody knows, but for those who don't, so Passion Built is people who build motorcycles but don't necessarily do it for a living. But you've built a lot of motorcycles over kind of the last what's it been, 15 years?
Yeah, 15 plus years. Yeah.
Yeah, and so and they're all kind of for personal use, right? So you have kind of a different protocol than a professional, I use that term loosely, bike builder, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the show kind of kicks it into gear where you might have had this idea previously, and now you're like, all right, I guess this is what I'm doing. Does that sound about right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, it just kind of gets everything in perspective, and you get a deadline and a goal, and you start managing your time, trying to get it done. Obviously I do it at night and on the weekends, and I have to do it between my full-time gig, and so that puts a lot of pressure on after hours and late nights and that kind of thing. But good time management, we can get it done. So
Nice.
And I think that's I always talk about Michael Lichter's exhibit in Sturgis with such fondness, because I believe it's a true barometer of what's going on with us. And in these times where everybody's forecasting, the downward trend of the market and, everything else, I think when you look at the garage-built custom motorcycles that are going on, the community garages, the hooligan racing and stuff, there's more enthusiasm and excitement and passion that's going on in this. So I think Michael, again, is just, right on target with what he's doing. And I expect that he would hope to capture everything that you're talking about right there. And the social media feed to this point has exactly pointed that out. I mean, you see that the struggle is real,
Yeah, it definitely is. He's always kind of ahead of the curve on that, and I think he's always done well. His shows have always highlighted what's going on, and really what's going on. A year before, a lot of us know what's going on, and I think he does well at that.
Right on.
Yeah.
So
What's cool about the younger fellas is that, there's the social media. That's another element that years ago when we did stuff with Michael, you never had that social media
Right.
part of it, and now you can actually show that experience to other people. The lead up to the show and the crunch, and you run into somebody with, didn't come through on your project, or the painter or the plater or something. So those are real things that get shared these days.
And I think it's a whole new level of accountability too.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say, Chris, is that there is that, because people are checking your feed to see, hey, where are they at? Where are you at? What are you doing? That sort of thing. And previously, like you said, Mike, I remember going to Lichter's show and seeing a bike for the first time, that nobody had ever seen there. There was no evidence of it at all. There was no pictures online. There was nothing.
People just think it mysteriously happens, but there's all this whole build-up before, and no matter how well prepared you are, there's usually something that's going to go wrong along the way that'll push you right up to that crunch time. And it may even be that the bike ends up on your pickup truck and taking it to Sturgis.
Michael loves that. Michael loves that.
Not the official truck picking it up way in advance.
Yeah. Yep.
But we all seem to make it happen.
Yeah, well, I can remember the day when we had to bring the bike to the show. We wouldn't have the luxury of the tractor trailer coming by and picking it up like we do now.
I still haven't had that privilege.
I don't know if ours will make it onto the truck.
No, ours is going to make it onto our truck if we're lucky.
Yeah, hopefully.
But Mike, what you were talking about, when you get to the show and you see the bike for the first time, I miss that. I do miss that. I miss seeing bikes in print for the first time.
Right.
And Chris can elaborate that a lot more. But there's something about that excitement about going to a show, seeing new stuff for the first time that you haven't seen the whole build process, where this guy's making a tank, this guy did this guy's done that. And the same thing with print. Every month you get your magazine and you're like, damn it, man, I can't wait to get this magazine because I can't wait to see what everybody else has
it's like
done.
It's like a grand unveiling, you've got these little lead ups to it, which is not a grand unveiling.
Where social media has kind of brought the whole detail and the whole spectrum, I guess, of the build and highlighted that. It also has taken away from that that initial blown away excitement about seeing a build for the first time, and kind of seeing a bike for what it is, and that's a finished machine. That's you know what I mean. Like, that's, to me, seeing a bike in person, is the kind of the grail of somebody's hard work, and not knowing that it might take them a year to get there, and then, like you said, 1,000 steps to get there. It really, that's the point that I've always found exciting about the shows. But it's a different time now, just the way it is.
No, actually, I think that's really good. I think maybe for the rest of the build, we should just do like little pieces of what we're doing, never like a whole part. Like, do you like this rocker or this rocker, or chrome or black, or just super close up. That way it's a surprise to everybody.
Tell me how that works out.
I control our social media, so I can make sure that happens.
Yeah, but you're telling all these individual guys.
No. I meant from our point of view. Yeah. Ben, what's your full-time gig?
I'm in the paint and powder coating business. I do industrial painting.
Oh, right on. Very cool.
And I'm been in a family business for going on 20 years now, and I'm a operations manager here. So I handle all the day-to-day operations.
When you say industrial painting, explain that a little bit more.
I work for OEM type suppliers like John Deere, Caterpillar, Freightliner, those types of companies, and we basically, as the parts get manufactured, we receive them here, and then we code them in whatever step or phase that they would like, and then we package them up and send them to the factory where they actually get assembled. So,
see, I like asking those questions because that can lead to, okay, what can I? Okay, we'll develop.
How can I get in? How can I get in on that?
You'll be surprised what you'll learn.
Right.
And you're talking to a professional here.
Yeah.
And some of that guy like here can help you out in business. Maybe.
Yep.
You never know.
Are you saying, Mike, that you've dealt with some not so professional powder coaters over the years? I can't imagine.
I've got a really good one now, and it's been for several years. And when you get one, he's your best. He gives you a bill, you pay it. Don't know. Not that I do, but.
Well, you're only as good as your vendors, and that's just the way it is. That's the same thing, guys. Chromers or the painters. If they're not on your side, if they're not on your team.
You got that right.
You're gonna have problems.
Yeah, just don't argue on the price. I mean, the price is the price. They do good work. They're skilled.
Yep.
You get what you pay for.
And I got some killer guys here at Delubec. I gotta put a shout out to them because, man, I'm getting the guys that do my powder coating 2-day turnaround, and it's a special deal for us because they know I'm always last minute Larry, but. No. They knock it out of the park for us, and that relationship's crucial. The powder coater and a chromer, like that'll put your production at rest. It's done.
Yeah, I've got a good painter. Abe's Custom Painting is my painter. I mean, he's awesome. And then I've got R&R for my powder coating. I mean, that's the second to none. I never have to send anything back.
Yep.
It's worth a little extra money.
A few good little plugs there, by the way.
Yep.
Ben, you have a little. I don't think you can see the pictures that we're putting up, but I did pilfer your Instagram page a little bit for some more imagery from you. And you have a little fan club here. Karsten is very happy that we're showing pictures of not only you, but of his German friend and the other Jordan.
Yeah.
And Nick says the better looking and younger Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's Carson's a great guy. I've known him for years. I think he's doing some photography for you guys, I believe.
He's great. We love Karsten.
And you know what's funny about that is like when we first met him and his screen tag is the angry kraut. And like it
fits him well.
I'm surprised because when you first meet him, it fits him very well because you look across the room and he looks like a big, mean German guy. But when you get to know him, like it totally doesn't fit. Like he's cool as hell.
Yeah, he's a pussycat for sure. Yeah.
So let's talk about some pastime stuff. You are shown in this picture I'm putting up right now with a crazy giant ass fish. And I know you're nuts for fishing. What's your deal?
Well, we that's it's a big passion of ours. We do a lot of offshore fishing. It is a very, very exciting way to spend the day, and we do it as much as we can. We have a boat, and we go offshore 60, 70, 80 miles, and to target the larger species of fish, and we do it as much as we can. So that's another thing, trying to juggle that between work and bikes and family and everything else. It's a struggle, but that's what makes it fun,
No, I've only got to do offshore, maybe twice. Like obviously, I live within walking distance of one of the
far from the ocean as possible.
But I do live within walking distance of one of the best trout streams in Pennsylvania, which I've done. I've trout fished since I was a little kid. But man, offshore is crazy. Like I was excited on my first offshore fishing trip, just when we ran for bait. Like the first part of the day, you go out and you catch all the bait. And I was like, shit, these are as big as some of the trout that we catch back home. I'm good. Let's just bait fish. That's good. Let me get some wahoos, man. I'm down.
Yep, exactly, man. Exactly. It's the ocean is a wild place, man. And if you get to spend much time on it, I fell in love with it years ago, and I just can't get enough of it. I mean, you never know whether you're going to catch bait or if Moby Dick's under your boat.
Right.
That's awesome.
You have no clue, and that type of excitement is pretty neat.
What area do you go
out
fishing?
there and see nature?
What area do you go fishing in?
We fish all up and down the East Coast. Mostly, I live in North Carolina. So we fish from North Carolina, South Carolina, and then we do a lot of fishing in the Keys also. So we make a big trip to the Keys every year and fish down there too. And we freshwater fish too. You know, we do some trout fishing and things like that. But our gig is trying to target, you know, wahoo and sailfish, and then this coming month we'll be targeting marlin. So I mean that's.
I want to go. That sounds awesome.
You know, and listen, I specifically brought up the fishing stuff because, and I'll show everybody here real quick. When you bring up your Facebook page, you can see the crossover point between your two worlds, because your icon is a picture of you kicking an old motorcycle, and then the background is, you know, from like the bow of a boat, and you can see the ocean out in the background. Man, it's just you could tell that that's a man that has, you know, a foot in two worlds.
Yeah,
but they're both pretty awesome. I mean, I wouldn't say no to one or the other.
Right?
I don't blame them. I don't blame you at all. Good for you.
Sounds like you've
I
got
said,
a boat in your
it's fun.
future, Chris.
No. a boat for me is just a hole in the water to throw money.
I like land, so when stuff goes wrong, I can just glide to the side and put my
Have
feet
you ever
down.
had a boat, though? Have you ever owned a boat?
No, but I've had. I mean, take a look at some of the motorcycles I ride. Like, you know, if that should happen 100 miles out from shore, I'm in big trouble. Big trouble.
Well, unless you have an Indian guy to rescue you.
Unless you had an Indian.
Yeah,
I can't believe you set me up for that shit. It's not bad enough that he looks for every opportunity on his own. You're going to set him up. That's
Chris,
great.
the boat doesn't have to be 50 years old.
You're
It doesn't
exactly
have
right.
to be a Chris craft.
But see, I'd be looking for a way to chop it and rake out the front end, you know.
Well, no, y'all have met Chris. He will look for like the oldest, cruddiest piece of crap. He'll be like, I can fix this.
I'm looking
It's
for
a project.
deal. I'm looking for a deal, man. You know.
Hey, I sent you the computer. I'm getting today to try to cobble together and make work for this.
I come from a long line of low budget rockers, baby.
Anytime he says, "Hey, baby, I found a new project," I'm like, "Oh God, no."
Right on, man. So we
But
got
the boat, you know, back to the boat real quick. You know, the boats that we fish on and boats in general, all they are bigger choppers, man. We
Right.
customize them. You know, I mean, it's a whole nother, you know, just wild world of design. You know, when you get into the boat, you know, market. So
I could get behind that.
yeah, you know, it's like, you know, basically our boats completely, you know, larger companies build the boats obviously, but we totally change them. And we totally, you know, change them and make them fit our style. It's just like choppers, just like custom motorcycles.
All right,
It's
so
just
that's
on
going
a
to be
little
my
different
new
scale.
project.
Well, and listen, I mean, I could get down with it if you remember the boat that Steve Peffer from Still City Choppers has.
No.
It's one of these ridiculous things that sits about an inch out of the water and has like a 950 cubic inch crazy
No.
with the pipe
Not
sticking
great.
up and flames.
Yeah, not great for fishing.
No.
Fast
Did you
fish.
see what? Yeah.
I'm thinking that
I'm
and a
thinking
couple
more
sticks
like
of
a
dynamite.
houseboat, nice, you know. No.
All right, so
Wow, two
see,
opposite ends of the spectrum there.
there's a conflict. That's all. I mean,
I guess that's why it works, huh?
So hey, man, we have your Facebook page up. I'm going to direct everybody to that, of course. Benjamin Jordan on Facebook. You can keep either through Passion Built's posts or through his. You can keep up with what he's doing with his Lichter build. But show up in person, man. Be in Sturgis. Wow, dude, there's some crazy cool pictures of fish on your site too.
He just basically posted your entire personal life to the world. We'll apologize now.
Right? I love it. I love it.
And
So-
on Instagram, you're Jordan Designs, at Jordan Designs. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Nice. Right on.
Right on, man. So we're going to watch out for you, man, and hopefully I see you before Sturgis. I'd like to get to spend some time with you and your lovely girl again.
Yeah, man, we'd love to see you. That's for sure. But if not, we will be in Sturgis, and I'm sure we'll have a big time.
Right on.
Right on.
Yeah.
It was great talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Ben.
the interest.
All right.
Yep,
Thanks, buddy.
thanks.
Keep up the
See you,
good
Mike.
work.
Man, I've known him, since back in Limnicky days and before. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's always just so good to hang out with him. And he is a character. That thing that they were saying about Hollywood Ben Jordan, he's He is absolutely Hollywood, man. I love him.
So Missy says she's got a hookup for me for a hot rod boat.
The hookup's for me for a hot rod boat.
No.
I was the one
You
that
have
wanted...
bikes, I can have boats. But that means we have to move to the ocean.
There's no, well, there's a little bit of ocean in Texas.
No.
Down south.
I wouldn't be opposed to South Carolina. There's not a whole lot of snow there.
So let's come back to Kiwi Mike Thomas here for a minute. Kiwi, see how I did
No
that?
airplanes.
Crickets.
Yeah,
Crickets.
Crickets.
Let's talk about Ole, man. Ole's fastly becoming the mecca for a lot of vintage guys.
Yeah. Ole. For those who don't know where Ole, it's at Oley. It's just above Reading, Pennsylvania. It's on a historical fairgrounds. I think it was actually a battlefield.
Yeah.
Back in the day. But it's not any. Well, it's antique motorcycles, but it's just old stuff.
Yeah.
Is that why you go, Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, see, you think she's your buddy, right?
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
not. She's not.
I love it. I mean, it's one of the things we don't experience out in the Southwest.
Yeah.
Where people are bottled up all winter long, and like it's spring, and people are just raring to get out. So Ole is the first antique motorcycle club association, so it's AMCA event of the year, and it's just all this. Well, other than the Sunshine chapter down at Florida, but as far as into the winter states, so all these people are got all this bottled up energy, and then they're just itching to get out.
I like it because it makes you and Carolyn come visit us when we're here. So it's one of my favorite
We
times.
get Yingling beer here.
Yeah.
Stock up for the year.
So are you
for
why
our
I,
friends.
Are you why I get all the Yingling emails now? I'm like, Chris and I don't drink at all,
Well, I
and
don't
now
either.
all of a sudden I get Yingling emails all the time.
Maybe.
So Ole Valley
Thanks, Mike.
Motorcycle Swap Meet actually has its own Facebook page. You guys can
Well,
check that
shoot.
out. Let me bring up some pictures though, so you can see what you can expect in Ole. All the good stuff, and still something that we haven't been able to make it out to.
No, we're usually on the road.
Losers.
You know what's cool about so many people, do their shopping online, with trying to look for their stuff. And I was looking at, like a lot of demographics, like the younger Harley guys, they go onto eBay. You can buy any shit you want on, well, it's new shit, but, Amazon. But you do all your shopping on websites. And what's cool about you going to these old swap meets is you actually get to talk to people.
Yeah.
You actually get to rummage through stuff. So the stuff you're paying, maybe a few $1,000s on eBay can be in somebody's box dirt cheap because they don't know what the hell it is. So, and you network, and I hear a lot of these younger folks go, man, I wish I could come across a deal, or how did you hear about that bike? And you come up with these cool bikes, cool buys, and it's just by having your ear to the ground, being at these swap meets, interacting socially, not digitally, but in real world, and you get around and you're pulling all this cool knowledge off people. But there's just a lot of opportunities that people actually miss by not being at these type of events. And it doesn't matter if it's a junk Friday swap meet. Go down there and socialize, and you'll be amazed at, I know for me, the amount of stuff that I've come across just by having my ear to the ground.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been my experience as well. I mean, I've been to a bunch of swap meets, and I always find stuff but a lot of times it's stuff I don't need.
But it's really cool, and you can't leave without it. It's okay.
I guess that's part of it, though, right? Is getting through that stuff. Like, okay, what do I really need here? What is it that? What am I looking for? Having a little bit of a goal when you're going into it, right?
No.
No.
It's like, man, that's cheap. Or,
Right.
I haven't seen one of those for a long time. Yeah, maybe I'll get around to using it one day.
You know what though, and that's I think therein lies the loss of translation. When you're at the swap meet, like how many times have I been to a swap meet, and including the 49 pan that sits over in the corner here that we're going to get to sooner or later. But how many times have you been to a swap meet and walked past something and it was such a good deal, or something that you have never seen out before, and you were waiting for that opportunity and didn't even know it, and that spawns a whole new direction for what you're doing, and now it gives you a new project, a new direction, and a whole bunch of new energy to chase after something. I think the eBays and the chopper swappers, and you
don't get that.
Yeah, we're losing.
You missed
that a
the boat
little bit.
on
Yeah,
Absolutely. Jason Sims is on his way to Ole right now. He's in Wisconsin stocking up on cheese. Jason, I'm sorry we're gonna miss you. One of these days we'll get to the swap meet that's in our own state.
We really need to get him on this show one of these days.
Yes.
We keep talking
We
about
have tried.
that.
He's willing. He's just been busy. He's a busy man
Yeah.
between Cannonball and Glencoe, and I know he's got some other projects going on. He's a busy dude, but he is willing. Patricia Thurston, aka Ditch, says hello,
Oh, yeah.
Kiwi. Love to you and Carolyn.
Hey, Ditch.
Stoked that you're on the show. I like Mailman's theory on boats. I have to back up. He says, "Don't own a boat, own a friend with a boat."
Yeah,
that works.
exactly. He's
That
right.
works
He's
good.
dead right.
And Karsten is very kindly volunteering to help us relocate to South Carolina. Hey, that would work for my mother and sister too. Maybe that should be in the running.
South Carolina isn't
South
bad.
Carolina, I love it.
That ain't bad.
Thank you, Karsten. Karsten said Gesundheit because I sneezed. And Ditch says, Mike, you are a wealth of knowledge.
Okay.
That's a good way to say full of shit.
Oh, thank you, Ditch. Got someone biased.
He does. Mike's constantly giving me statistics. Like the other day, you told me that 90% of the old Harleys are still on the road.
95% of the old Harleys are still on the road. The other 5% made it home. Crickets. Sorry, guys. It's just a joke. Okay, I'm in the minority on an Indian, so.
There was a period of time where no matter whenever I talked to Mike, I would, hey, it would be 3-4 months. I'd call him up. Hey, Mike, man. He'd go right off the bat. You know what the problem with your Holly is, mate?
Yeah.
The first thing was 100-Year War.
Hey,
Wow.
Just which was the bike that made it out of Death Valley?
You bastard.
How many Indians have you ridden, Chris?
How many Indians have I ridden?
Yeah.
Like maybe 2 Indians ever.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
modern ones?
Yeah. No, actually old ones. And
Okay.
actually, if you counted modern Indians, then it would probably be 6.
Yeah.
But I actually rode on the back of Mike's Indian.
48 Chief in the middle of Death Valley.
Yeah?
It made it through it,
to
didn't
get
it?
out of death.
Yeah, and I mean, here
Heather too.
If you haven't read the story, so we were on our honeymoon trip. We decided to do
Not you and I. You and
No,
Heather.
Yeah, yeah. Mike and I were still sleeping around, but we're on our honeymoon trip, and my newfangled Harley motorcycle breaks a belt in the middle of Death Valley. I get the harebrained idea that this emergency belt repair kit that I have, we're going to test this out. So the next day we go to every single monument in Death Valley instead of going straight to the Harley dealer in Vegas and getting the belt fixed. And the emergency belt breaks with, I think we got pretty close to 120 miles on it before the emergency belt broke. But it was 120 miles in 130 plus degree heat.
And a fully loaded bike with 2 people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give it a lot of credit.
It had our camping gear on it.
I mean, it was
clothes.
loaded.
We
Yeah,
were
yeah.
out on the road
It
for a
was
couple
beyond
weeks.
loaded.
So
It was awesome, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
we're in the middle of what looks like absolutely nowhere Death Valley, right? And
It
I
was.
do the, I butch up and I say, Mike, take Heather and ride to safety. So they pull off, and as soon as the sound of the bike disappears, I go, wow, they don't actually call this Pussy and Ice Cream Valley. This is Death Valley. And
Yeah.
This is an 139 degree.
and now I'm
Temperature.
alone and scared and very much not a big tough man. I'm like, I'm gonna die out here. So I'm like, okay, let me get survival instincts. I got a little bottle of water here. I put the bike so that it's positioned between me and the sun, and I get down in the shadow of the bike. I'm like, I can make it through this. 15 minutes later, Mike pulls back up. We're literally
7 miles.
7 miles.
7 miles away from what is the
Furnace
oasis of Death Valley, where they have swimming pool and ice cream and And there I am hovering underneath my bike going, dear God, please, I'm sorry for all this shit that I did in my life. Let me live.
But just for the record, though, there is video of Kiwi's bike. It was so hot that day, and from the riding back and forth with passengers and blah, 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 we got to Furnace Creek Resort, and we're standing next to the Indian, and we're like, what the hell is that sound?
It sounded like it was still, like it was rattling, like it was still running.
The fuel in the gas tank was boiling. Literally, we have video of it. The fuel was boiling in the gas tank.
The official
That's
reading
never
that day for the temperature was 129.9 degrees.
Yep.
And that's not road temperature. I mean, that's just
Standing there.
Ambient air.
So
yeah.
when he's sitting on the side of the road, you know, you've got blacktop. I mean, you're on the gravel there, but it's just, people die out there. You just don't know, don't realize how dangerous it is. But the old 48 Chief come right through,
Nice.
saved the day.
Nice.
We will never, ever live that down.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
That's so awesome.
Well, Mike, I'll have you know, I've only owned one Harley in my life. I've owned 2 Indians
Is
and
that-
one Harley. So I think I'm up.
And your
This
point,
far.
your point being,
He's ahead of us, is what he's saying.
Oh, yeah.
I've owned 0.
So,
All right, well, let's, well, you got
I
something?
have one comment for
Go
Mike.
ahead.
Tamara Kosan says, Mike, you're very correct about the importance of connecting personally as opposed to digitally.
Absolutely. I think that's part of life is living it. And, you know, you can't do that.
When you're
Behind
like
the
this
ca-
all the time.
No, you just miss out on a lot of other experiences.
And you just got back from Thailand.
Thailand and Japan.
And you, I mean, talking about experiences, man, like you last night when we were talking about, he was without words, which for Kiwi
Is amazing.
is amazing.
Yeah, I got to ride both of those countries. I spent 3 weeks with my friend Dennis Baldock of Indian Motorcycle of Springfield, Mass. And we've got our good friend AA. She's Thai. And we knew some people over there. And, you know, just one of those things, the stars align, and it's like, okay, we're going to do it. And actually, this has all come about from just hanging out at Rhinebeck, New York AMCA event. We talked about it, and that's where we sat down and had a barbecue and said, okay, when are we going to do this? You know, we sat down the day, we confirmed the day and everything, and, you know, just Lee Napapon, he owns a dealership in Bangkok, supplied us motorcycles. So started out being a guest international judges for Bangkok Motorbike Festival. And, I mean, that's a big deal over there. And then we went on about a week ride, and we went around to the top Chiang Mai, and, you know, we found, AA found some guys that had some vintage Indians, and they loaned us 2 Indians.
How do
Dennis
you
and I,
go to
which
another
it-
country and get a loner vintage Indian?
That's so awesome.
And there's 15
you got to be
in
Kiwi Mike.
Theyland.
Yeah,
You
there's
know,
only
maybe.
15 in the whole country.
And these guys don't let anybody else ride their bikes. AA convinces them that, you know, we're good guys, and we get on these bikes for several days and have an awesome time with them. Just all our experiences that we had there, and then flying to Japan for several days. And then Yoshi, a Little Wing, I've known him he's been in business about 25 years doing Indians. And, you know, back then he'd apologize. There's no market here in Japan. You know, just buy an ammeter, buy this little stuff. Don't worry. I come from New Zealand. I know a little country.
yeah.
But he's fostered things, and he's the Indian guy.
Right
So his
on.
company's Little Wing in Tokyo. Goes, what do you want to do when you're here? Because we only had a few-day stopover, and we're just going to relax. I said, it'd be real cool. We want to go riding
Yeah.
on Indian motorcycles. So he digs out some bikes, and then we're
Dude.
riding out of Tokyo.
That's awesome.
You know, for a couple of days. I mean, just awesome experiences. You know, once again, it's interacting with people. You can have a lot of the scenery is very similar to what you've got here. We actually went into I don't pronounce it right, but it's a country to the left of Thailand. It's Myanmar, sort of a
Myanmar.
Yeah, that too. And I always cock that one up. But you know, we thought, man, we're so close. You know, it's 15 miles down or 15 minutes. Let's go across into that border.
Yeah.
You go into that country. So it was another experience. We went to the markets there and ended up looking for some old motorcycles. They ended up in this old antique shop that just had everything, and it was phenomenal. Old history, but just the experiences you have. And
So-
the people are wonderful.
Mike, are you
Yeah.
going to write about it for the magazine? Please.
Yes.
See, and that's the advantage right there, Ken. Did you see that? She bats her eyes and gets somebody to write a
And,
story.
and I'm
Yeah.
going to do this in conjunction with Dennis because it's both of our trip,
Oh,
know,
yeah,
and
for
AA
sure.
too.
course.
It wasn't my trip, it wasn't his trip. I mean, we both traveled together. AA was like our godmother, it's like trying to cross a road in Bangkok. I mean, you've never riding in Bangkok is absolutely insane.
Terrifying.
You would go to jail. The cop's going to he's not going to bother yanking your license. He's going to say, get in the cruiser. Somebody else is taking your bike. You're out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd go, it's just dangerous driving, but they're not there to knock you off your bike, but you identify, you're always passing. Even out in
Pick
the
a
open
path.
road, you're always passing. 80 mile an hour, you're still passing. So there's no relaxing, and if, you're in busy traffic, but just trying to cross a road in Bangkok, you got 3 or 4 lanes of traffic, and then you've got motorcycles zipping down between each one, and on the outside lanes, AA just sort of grabbed both Dennis and I's hands and started walking us across, and we're looking at each other. Is this sort of
We're gonna
mama hen
die.
walking us 2 adults across?
Where was that crossing the road again? Look at the camera and say that.
Bangkok.
Say it again.
Bangkok.
Later on, I'm going to make one of the mashup videos like the kids do.
What did I say?
We'll put it to music and shit. It'll be cool. You'll dig it. Okay, so listen. Let's rip through the rest of the news. We only got a couple stories left. Ducati is in the news. By 2020, Ducati Motorcycles announces that they intend to have front and rear radar.
Yeah, and they're gonna. So it's not for the cops. It's for they're gonna connect it to those deployment airbag suits for that Alpine Stars, I think, and a couple other companies. Yeah, whatever.
I spent 7 shows of IMS waiting for people to hear that. 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
They love it.
So more safety, less freedom. I don't know. I mean, I get it.
What I say, Rogue told me a long time ago, never trade freedom for security, ever. Don't ever do it, because you never get the freedom
Yep.
back, and you
Yep.
never really as secure as they propose you will
Yep.
be.
Agreed.
So anyway, there you go. That's Ducati front and rear radar. Do you suppose it will be hijackable? Like, will you be able to jailbreak your Ducati radar and use it for ill-gotten means or ill-gotten booty,
Oh,
or booty
I don't know,
gotten by
maybe.
ill-gotten means?
possibly. I don't know.
Moving on, Alpine Stars 55th anniversary special.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, they had somebody build a bike. Some guy in Venice, never heard of him. That doesn't mean anything. There's a ton of custom builders that I've never heard of before. It looks cool. It's got all sorts of little icons to people that have ridden for Alpine Stars in the past.
Why not Fast by Faraci? Like, if you were gonna, if Alpine Star was gonna have a bike built to celebrate their anniversary, I don't know.
You never know why those things.
You got a
come
big
about,
picture of it?
right?
A big picture of the bike? Here, I'll bring it up. Boom.
It looks like quite a few others I've seen lately.
It's, you know what, I dig it though. I mean,
That's cool.
Yeah, it's not a bad bike.
I'm a fan.
But yeah, it's just I always scratch my head as to why they pick who they pick to build a bike. But it's cool looking bike.
Friend of the program. Okay, closing out the news today, Harley wins biggest ever trademark infringement case. Court side with Harley-Davidson, 2017 trademark infringement lawsuit, the marquee's biggest ever win of its kind. Heather brought this up to the news desk.
Ken did too. We both got it.
Oh, okay.
I can't take full credit. What they got awarded $19.2 million, I think, over and
Yeah.
it was over apparel, correct?
Yes.
And they won over sunfrog.com, I think it was called.
Yep. Something like that. Yeah, it was a company that was just printing up Harley stuff, which used to happen, up until the 80s.
Like constantly.
Yeah, you could go anywhere. I mean, but then again, you could also go to Yankee Stadium and buy a Yankees T-shirt that, the Yankees didn't get any money from either.
Didn't have an MLB tag on it.
Yeah. So times have changed for sure, but yeah, that's just not tolerated these days.
Yeah.
And it sure didn't work out for those guys. I don't know why people think that they can get, especially with where we are at this day and age with the internet. How do they think they can get away with that stuff?
I wonder if
Right?
they think, we're so small they won't care. They care.
Yeah, they do.
No, they for
Trust
sure
me,
care.
they miss a penny.
I even see, a lot of bootleg Indian stuff that's
Oh,
on
yeah.
eBay. And I think, boy, Polaris comes down on certain companies, yet right there on eBay, in front of the world, these guys sell a cheap T-shirt, which is certainly not authorized, but it's right out there in plain daylight.
And that's got to be a stick in your craw, because you literally have a deal with Indian based on the logo and the usage.
Yeah, you've
and
got to
everything
comply.
Yeah.
But then you've got other companies just out there doing it right under Polaris's nose, and
imagine-
they don't do anything about
Well,
it. Just-
they may, but it may not be newsworthy enough. Like, I think this one was newsworthy because it was a $19.2 million
But as
award.
a corporation, a big American corporation, you're looking at, infringement on it, and there it is, just something quite plain and blatantly. I mean, the dealers are held. They've got their dealership, they've got overhead, they've got
Right.
the margins on the shirts that Polaris allow is not a whole bunch, and yet you've got somebody else that's just out there throwing it at a swap meet. But in this case, I mean, you can get it on eBay, and it's right out there, and these people make 100% of the money and don't pay anything.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It's funny how that goes. I remember,
And also, when it's outside the country, it really doesn't matter. There's no there's no recourse almost,
Yeah.
So
So, heading into the weekend, you are going to be able to see us, Cycle Source Magazine, Grease and Gears Garage, in Leesburg, Florida. Mike will be at the Vintage Swap Meet in Ole, PA, but we'll be in Florida. We got some great stuff coming to the garage. Told you guys before that Barry Wardlaw is going to be with us, going through a 49 panhead, teaching us the upper and lowers, what to look for when you're tearing down your motor and getting ready for a rebuild. Athena Chicky Ransom from Vagabond Choppers is going to be on hand 2 different days. She's going to do wiring basics one day, and then Sunday afternoon she's throwing a woman's garage party where she's going to teach you everything from the correct language and terminology to be able to have an intelligible conversation with your mechanic, right up to how to pick up a motorcycle. She actually has a different technique than most of the women instructors show women in these garage parties how to pick up a motorcycle. So pretty interesting.
And then 2 other... I shut it off. So then 2 other segments is going to be the garage crew. One, they're going to be working on the T-Tracker. And number 2, Ken, are you ready for this one? We're going to tear down and start another motorcycle.
good times. Super excited about that, aren't you?
Another and it's not the Passion Built bike, it's another motorcycle that Chris said, "Hey baby, guess what?" And
No,
I went,
we're not going to announce what motorcycle
Nope.
or whose it is yet.
Nope.
So
But-
stay
Yep.
tuned for that.
I know what it is.
I know.
Yeah. Did you get the bike yet?
We did.
Yes.
We bought a donor. Yep.
Okay. Nice job.
So check this out. This is something real cool. We like to bring you guys garage tips every time that we can. If we deliver them to you, even better. But this time we're going to bring you something from Billetproof. Billetproof is doing these quick little tech videos just on some of the most basic stuff with shop tech. But I give them mad props for doing this.
Absolutely.
Because they're showing people
Yep.
they're showing people how to get their hands on stuff.
Yep.
So let's check this out. Just cool little tech tip real quick, just to show you, if you put a couple dabs of grease on a gasket for your intake on your on the outside of your carburetor, it'll hold it in place for you, help you get your air cleaner backing plate on. Nothing super complicated, but we're going to keep checking in with them and see what else they're bringing out to us.
That's cool, sharing that stuff.
It really is.
and you can check them out Instagram at Billetproof. Their website is billetproofdesigns.com, and they are a Pennsylvania-based company.
Yeah.
So they're cool. They're a couple really nice guys. I was happy to meet them and have them part of our little family.
Oh, because they're in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, see?
Yeah, Steelers, Pennsylvania.
Told you. You got to watch her, Mike. You got to watch her.
Go Patriots.
So, for us, the excitement, like I said, we're rolling into Florida. We got some new gear that we're tooling around with the Grease and Gears garage deal. And
Livingston? I'm not
Yeah.
too sure. But anyway, I'm heading there after Ollie. But it's a good...
Yeah, we were
It's the
hoping to
fun
go
part.
to that. We have
Yeah.
a magazine to print, though.
If you look up Carson Classic, you can log in and check in. There's, it's a minimal fee. They put on an awesome event.
I've got some
Nice.
reports from Facebook saying that there's no sound.
it's back.
Oh.
Yeah, that little audio glitch, like, totally threw the board out of whack. And
It's saying no sound still.
no, it's there. I'm watching the
Okay.
feed.
Okay.
This is
Yep.
quite complicated here.
It is. It's a little intimidating to actually sit
Little?
in this chair because when the
You
shit
got a
hits the
lot going on.
fan,
And me talk about multitasking.
when
If
the
something
shit hits
didn't
the
work, I
fan-
wouldn't know what the hell to do.
Oh,
That's why it works.
There's so many things going into this, out of that, into something
Yeah.
else. Which part's failing?
it's a work in progress. Well, when we did when I brought up the website, the sound was doubling back, and it just started a dynamo, and it shut the soundboard down. So I had to unplug everything and start over while you guys were talking. So I apologize. What we were talking about is Ken is going to be doing stuff coming up with the Quill. We're still going to be coming out Tuesday next week at 11:30. Mike has brought up the Carson Classic in Texas. That's going to be the weekend after
That's
this.
the weekend of May 5th.
Yeah.
I think it starts Friday.
Cool.
Next Friday,
Awesome.
Saturday, a little bit Sunday.
And I think with that, with our audio back in check, we've covered all the bullshit that fits in 90 minutes.
Quick
That's
whirl
right.
ahead.
Yes,
Yep.
we have.
So until next week at 11:30 Tuesday, East Coast, 11:30. Oh my God, it's early. I'm Chris,
And I'm Ken.
and we're out.
And we're out.
Thank you very much.